So I don't read books as much as I used to. I'm trying to get back into reading more. And I'm going to talk about some of the audiobooks and one or two physical books that I've read that I keep thinking about. Anyways, I hope you enjoy the video. Welcome, heroes and villains, to Fjook Enterprises YouTube channel. Take a moment, relax, stop your bickering, and just enjoy the show. So, I already made an earlier video, I think last year, about the Dragon Riders of Pern, which, that ending. I didn't read the whole series, but the ending of all the Wheels of Pern, I'm not going to spoil it for you. But that ending, man. And you can see Anne McCaffrey's writing getting better between each book, and how she world builds from one book to the next, to the next, to the next, how they're all interconnected. I don't know if she plotted the whole thing out first, or how she did it, but however she did it, it's amazing. And as I said, All the Wheels of Pern, the ending of that book is excellent. But that's not... So, I've listened to those books. I've only listened to All the Wheels of Pern once, but I've listened to all the other books multiple times. In fact, one of the books, Renegades of Pern, which isn't... You don't need to read Renegades of Pern. Renegades of Pern you can read. I don't know what the mandatory reading for the Dragon Riders of Pern is. I have a very good friend who also read the Dragon Riders of Pern, read much more of it than me. And from what I can tell from the internet as well, and from what my good friend says, I'm not going to be reading any of the books by her son, and I'm not going to be reading any of the books. Well, I might read the Hopper trilogy. But I don't like that the first two follows one character and the third follows a different character. The idea of that just bugs me. I don't know why it bugs me, but it bugs me. Sure, the first few books, the pacing is off because she's doing a lot of world building and there's not a lot of action, so it's a lot of info dumping action now that I sit back and think about it. But anyways, Dragon Riders of Pern, I've read 5 of those books. You'll notice when I talk about books that are part of series, you might notice something as we go on this list. I've also read a few books by Alison Noel, I think that's how you say it. I've read Evermore, which was recommended by a TikTok I follow because, well, it's her style book. It's not my style book. I think my issue with that series is I didn't like how I felt like it was a complete story, you know? I understand there's more to tell in that world, but I felt like that book was a complete story on its own. There's no more reason to read any else. You have the full story in the first book, which is probably why I should read the rest. Is it called the Immortal series? I think it's called the Immortal series. I probably should read more of those books. It's a very interesting world that Alison built there. So yeah, there's 6 books in the Immortal series. I've read 1. With that in mind, I've read 1. There's also a spin-off series following the sister of one of the side characters who's dead. Yes, you follow a ghost doing ghost things in the spin-off series called the Riley Bloom series because her name is Riley Bloom. And I've read I've listened to 1.5 of those books. It's a good out of 4, so I've listened to almost half of that series. That's how I know Alison is a good author, because not only did I read Evermore, I also read Radiance, which is another book by it. I read 2 books by one author because I liked the first one so much, I got the second one. So, Evermore is a typical Twilight clone-ish. It has some of the same building blocks as Twilight. It's a YA romance with one of the characters, with some of the characters being immortal, hence it's the Immortal series, and it's better than Twilight, much better than Twilight. I've read Twilight a long time ago, like over a decade now. I've read Twilight. Awful book in my opinion, but Evermore. If romance is your thing, give it a shot. While as the Riley Bloom is catered to a younger audience, still a good book. Still a good book. Just catered to a younger audience. You don't have to dumb down your writing. And I don't feel Allison doesn't dumb down her writing. Still a good book. One of my older books that I've listened to, I got, was a book that one of my friends enjoyed. Is Other Minds. It's about octopuses and how octopuses and squids, mainly focusing on the octopus, are the only things without a backbone that have could be sapient intelligence. If not, there's intelligence of dolphin, and they don't have a backbone. They're the only invertebrates with that are as intelligent as dolphins or monkeys, which is kind of weird that intelligence is evolved at least twice on our Earth in 2 different ways, because the octopus brain is quite different than the human brain. Anyways, if what I'm saying interests you, go read Other Minds. Good book. There are 2 other non-fiction books I read that are really good. One recommended by Twitch streamers, and that would be The Emperor of All Maladies, which is about cancer. There were parts of that book that I had to put down because it gets way too, It's also a too-much book. Speaking of too-much books, James Calville, historical fiction, the Asian saga epic, Shogun, that is a too-much book. You could easily kill someone with a book that size. That book might have more pages. No, it doesn't have more pages than the Bible. But that book is a thick book. It has at least as many pages as the Lord of the Rings trilogy does. And that is a good book. Yes, it took me a long time to read it. It took me several months to read that book. But I finished it. Like 6 or 7 audiobooks that I haven't finished that I'm working on at the moment. Probably more. But I finished Shogun. And yeah, I feel like I know a bit more about how medieval Japanese culture than I did before. And it's the factions in it, even though you only spend time with the one faction, you feel the other factions, the Catholic faction and the other Japanese factions, and see how each individual thinks. And it's a very well written book. My only issue with it is, well, it goes into a lot of detail, there are points where I'm glad it goes into a lot of detail, but there are other points where I think, does he have to go into this much detail? Is this too much detail? It's not too much detail, but it's borderline too much detail. I don't know if that makes sense. Space has always interested me. It's why I own a lot of Star Wars books. Space has always interested me. That is why I've read Mapping the Cosmos? Mapping, what is it called? Gotta get the right name. Mapping the Heavens. I've only listened to that book once, but it was an interesting listen to. It basically how we came to our current understanding of the stars, galaxies, and all the stuff above of surrounding Earth, and along the way, people get to the right idea with the wrong information, and the wrong idea with the right information, and it's really weird how the human mind can make logical leaps like that to fit how they feel. And I learned a lot of names that I currently forgot. Like, I learned who Hubble is. I didn't know. I knew Hubble was someone important because he had the telescope named after him, but I didn't know who he was before I read the book. Now I have a better understanding of who Hubble is. And yeah, I think that was one of the free books on Audible. So if you have Audible, it's a free book that you get for just having an Audible subscription, I believe. So why not get it? So those are some of the books I've read, not all of them. I'm currently working on the complete works of H.P. Lovecraft. What are you working on? Tell me in the comments. And like the video while you're down there.